Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
What's up and welcome everybody. This is Josh Shanley, co-founder of Client Alchemist and licensed agent with eXp Realty. And I'm extremely excited for our training class today with a very special guest. And by the looks of it and the response we've gotten, you all are extremely excited about this as well, because this is has been one of the webinars that we've gotten the most response about in quite some time. And our special guest is going to show you how you can get an additional 3 to 5 listings per month from the probate niche. And I'm personally excited about this for a number of reasons, and you should be too. Number one, this is an opportunity that is here right now and will remain an opportunity for us, for you, for the definitive future. It's an opportunity with much less competition, and it's one that can become a consistent source of business for you if you jump in and you take action on what Frank is going to share with us today. And incidentally, personally speaking, I've just recently reactivated my license, and I am absolutely planning on adding this as a source of business as I grow my local practice once again. And so personally, there's a little bit of motivation there for me as well. Couple of housekeeping items, and then I'm going to introduce Frank to everyone. Some of you may know him, maybe some of you not. If you haven't already done so, let's get rid of all distractions. Let's close down other browsers. Let's turn our phones on vibrate. Let's close our door, maybe even lock our door, and give Frank and I your undivided attention for the next 60 minutes or so, okay? And if you do that, I promise you are going to get the most out of our time together. And what I probably should have done is if you can let us know in the Q&A box, can you hear me and can you see the screen okay? And we'd love to also hear where you are tuning in from today as well. So let us know in the question box to make sure we're not, talking to ourselves here, which I'm always a little worried about. All right. It sounds good from St. Charles, West Palm Beach. Michael, right on. Come on, folks. Don't be bashful. I can see and hear you. Jacksonville, Montreal, Canada. All right. Visalia, California. Loud and clear. I can hear in Dallas. Okay. So good. That sounds like we're good there. All right. Housekeeping item number 3. If you don't already have a pen and paper, I would highly recommend that you go and grab a pen and paper. You're going to want to take notes. Frank is going to walk you through this entire process. He's going to show you where to find the leads. He's going to really spill all the beans for you. You're going to want to take notes. There is something about putting pen to paper that creates a connection for us that is different than even if you're typing it up on a device or a tablet of some kind. So have a pen and paper for that as well. And then after Frank shares with you the special offer that he's put together for us, for our community today, we will stay on for Q&A. And this is a kind of topic that does lead itself to a lot of questions. So if you could do me a big favor, when a question pops into your head, make sure you pop it in the Q&A box, and then I will be sure to dig into all of your questions with Frank at the end of our time together. I promise we'll do our best to answer every question that we possibly can. So just pop those in as they come up so you don't lose them or forget at the end. So our special guest today is a fellow by the name of Frank Patrick. And Frank is a real estate broker. He's someone I've personally known for a very long time, someone that you may have had exposure to or experience with in the REO niche. Frank was extremely successful in that niche, and also had the pleasure of teaching and coaching and training thousands of other agents around that niche and that opportunity. And Frank has spent the last number of years really crafting and honing in and creating a systemized process around growing a listing pipeline in the probate niche. And if you don't even know what that is, don't worry. You will at the end of our time together. Frank will unpack all of that for you. So I'm again, we are extremely blessed and have the pleasure of having Frank today. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Frank. I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to monitor the comments and questions, and then I'll hop back on for Q&A at the end. And I'll be here if you need me. I'm happy to unmute at any time.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Can you hear me okay, and can you see my screen?
Looks like
very good.
I'm good to go, and it looks like from the audience we are good to go as well.
Very good. Well, welcome everyone. Appreciate you being here today. I promise to make the best use of your time. I've got about 50 minutes of pure content for you, and as Josh stated, I'll stay on the line and answer as many questions as we have time for today. A little disclosure, I'm not a professional presenter. So if we have any English majors in the room, I'm definitely going to make some mistakes. There could be some misspellings, some ums, some ahs. But remember why you're here. You're here for the content, because I am good at one thing, and that is getting listings from probate cases. So we're going to talk about that. In true fashion, I've included my real estate picture here, which was taken just after I graduated from high school. And of course, I haven't changed it for 30 years now. So I thought I'd include, since we're amongst friends, I thought I'd include a real picture of me. This is the real Frank Patrick. So if you ran into me on the street, I'd want you to be able to recognize me. This is me at the Pumpkin Festival with 2 of my grandchildren. I have 3 and 1 on the way. I live just east of Phoenix in the Superstition Mountains. I am a licensed real estate broker, and I teach other agents how to get listings from probate cases. When I was a kid, my mom was convinced I was lazy. You see, my family, the Patricks, the McGillicuddies, the Callahans, the Carrillos, and the Juarezes, all immigrants. And as you can imagine, when you hear those names, Irish immigrants, Hispanic immigrants, they were hardworking people. And they believed that the way to prosperity was through hard work. Interestingly enough, it didn't really work out for any of them. They all worked hard until the day they died, and never really had much and didn't have that great quality of life. So I was determined to be different. I think one time I rigged up a skateboard to pull behind the lawnmower so I wouldn't have to walk while I mowed the lawn. My mother interpreted that as lazy. Still today, I like to believe that I'm efficient. I want to get the maximum result from the least amount of effort. And I include this picture of me with this fish because I'm not a big fisherman, although that's a big fish. I like to eat fish, and I like to eat fresh fish. So once a year, I fly to Alaska, I catch 1 big fish, and I fly home. I'm good for a year. So lazy or efficient, well, that's up to interpretation. I'm here today to talk to you about how to get probate or estate listings. The word is interchangeable for what we're talking about today. But I'd like to ask you, what's the biggest challenge that you face today? I always ask this, and we'll keep a record of the answers, and I like to make sure that I'm on top of what's happening out there. It's the main reason I keep my real estate license active today. Those of you in the Phoenix market, look me up. I think I closed 4 whole transactions last year. So I'm not in full-time production anymore. I refer out most of my business, but I still close 4 or 5 a year so I can stay abreast with what's happening in the market, and so I know what challenges you're facing. I think the biggest thing that I hear is lack of saleable listings. For a while it was lack of any listing, and things were getting multiple offers. Today we've seen a bit of a shift in the market. There's still a shortage of inventory, but I see in many cases the sellers aren't being reasonable. They're still thinking they're going to get 12 offers and sell for 50,000 over list, when the reality is it's more of a balanced market, at least for most of the United States. So a lot of agents tell me that there's more competition. There's more agents getting into the business. There's more agents prospecting for listings. There's more competition from big business like Redfin, Open Door, Amazon, you name it. It seems like everybody wants to get into our pocket these days. We got one called Homey here now. Purple bricks or purple blocks. It's names that I hear and see their billboards, and we hear it from the sellers. This is creating more competition for us. And basically, what it boils down to is there's more people competing for the same prospect. But let me ask you this. What if you could see into the future and identify who was going to sell a house 3 to 6 months from now in your service area? Would that give you an unfair advantage? Well, of course it would. If you knew who was going to sell before they started looking for an agent or they started responding to advertising, it would certainly give you an unfair advantage, because you could position yourself in front of that business and therefore be more efficient, or lazy, as my mother would like to say, and just let the business come to you. It exists. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's not as easy as looking at a map, unfortunately, but I'm going to show you how you can find this information. For the most cases, for most of you, you'll just be able to get it online. It's not magic. It's not free, or it is free. It's public information. And you can find out who's going to sell a property in your area 3 to 6 months from now. You see, over 2.5 million people over the age of 30 die each year, and 65% of them own at least one property. This is from the National Statistics, from the National Association of Realtors, and from our own Census Bureau. It's believed that 95% of people do not have a living trust, and 50% don't even have a will. So if you don't have a trust and there are any debt or any assets, that person's estate is going to go through probate. We also know that 90% of those properties will be sold within 12 months to pay the debt of the estate. Most of us, when we die, will die cash poor and asset rich. So in other words, we're going to exhaust our financial resources in the last few months of our life, probably on medical care, and we're going to leave behind a home. As you can imagine, there's many reasons to sell the house in an estate, but number one is to pay the debt. Number two reason is so the heirs, the property can be distributed to the heirs. In my own case, for example, the house that I live in, I'm going to leave it to my kids in my will. However, there's 2 children, a boy and a girl. They're both married, have their own kids, and it's highly unlikely that they would share the house, right? I mean, it's just not, it's not going to happen. So they're going to sell the house, and then each of them will get half the money. Here's the beauty of working with probate cases. If you were the agent helping them sell this house, and they each get their inheritance, which is going to be, maybe, let's just say $250,000. Guess what opportunity you have at that point? Most likely you could convince my son it'd be a good time for him to trade up. So you could list his house, sell it, sell him a new house. Now you're up to 3 transactions. My daughter just moved into a new house, so probably highly unlikely that she would buy a new house, but she would probably take that money and buy an investment property, because she knows that's what I did for a living, and that's one of the things that you can do to accumulate wealth. So you would have the opportunity to sell my house, sell my son's house, sell him a new house, and sell my daughter a house. So you got 1 lead, 4 sales. 1.389 potential million probate estate listings a year. This is from National Statistics. 2.5 million people die each year. 65% own a property. 90% sell within 12 months. It's almost 1.4 million. So over the next 45 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can get dozens of probate leads each month for free and how to market to them to compel them to list with you. Because someone in your market area is going to get their share of those 1.4 million properties. Eventually, if no one markets to them, eventually they'll choose an agent. They drive around the neighborhood, find a sign. If they're out of state, maybe they'll do a Google search. Who knows? Perhaps it's a referral. Perhaps they'll ask their probate attorney for a referral. But I'm going to show you how to find the property, identify the person responsible for liquidating the estate, and get in front of them. I'm going to show you how you can establish authority, position yourself as a probate expert, build rapport through written correspondence, and instill a tiny, tiny seed of reciprocity. So when it's time to sell the real estate, you are the logical solution. So as Josh mentioned, formerly I was in the REO business in a very big way. And in 2009, that was beginning to slow. At the time, I was training hundreds of agents each month and coaching a small group of super agents closing between 100 and 400 REO transactions a year. And we were all looking for where were we going to go next. And it was at that time, almost exactly 10 years ago, on March 20th, 2009, my uncle passed away unexpectedly and left his wife and his house. And we were all in shock. And I became the oldest living male member of the family and helped to guide my aunt through the process, and was really shocked at the fact that no one really marketed to her, and the ones that did were rather crude and caused some hurt feelings with her. And so I thought, well, what an opportunity for us to help people in their time of need, and what an opportunity for my agents if we could match them together with people that are going through this process. So from that, I spent the last 10 years developing a proven, repeatable system. It will work regardless of your experience, your location, your company, or your competition. First of all, let's establish what we do not do. We do not read obituaries. We do not solicit funeral homes. I do not solicit attorneys, although some of my students have done so successfully. I never solicit grieving families. I do not cold call, and I do not door knock. Okay. These are all things that happened after my uncle's death and when my aunt was going through this. And I said right then and there, these are the things that I'm not going to do. My goal is to show you exactly how to get these probate listings, and you're going to get a behind the scenes look at how I get the leads and how I market to them. And if you stay until the end, I'll show you how you can get my personal help setting up and running your own probate listing machine in your service area. So who am I? What makes me qualified? Obviously, as Josh mentioned, I'm a licensed real estate broker, first in Missouri and Kansas in 2000. Then in 2014, I sold my real estate office in Missouri, moved to Arizona, and I'm a part-time real estate agent, full-time educator. I was coached my very first year in business by Craig Proctor. Over the course of my career, I've been coached by others, including Dirk Zeller, Joe Stump, Rob Minton, Perry Belcher, some names that you probably recognize, maybe a few that you don't. I'm a big fan of Dan Kennedy and his direct response style marketing. I closed over 100 transactions a year, every year for 14 years in a row. My best year was 2008, where I came just short of my goal of closing one transaction every working day. So my goal was to come to work 5 days a week and close a transaction. We came very close in 2008. I was a broker owner for 12 years. I owned an exit franchise for 5 years. And I've been training agents since 2007. Right now I have over 11,000 past students. I ran a private mastermind group of 35 super agents for 3 years. And I think I learned more in those 3 years than I learned in the 10 years previous. So let's talk about probate. I can adjust my screen here a little bit, guys. So probate is the legal process through which the court oversees the estate of a deceased person to make sure that the debts are paid. This is priority number one. And actually the first priority is to pay taxes, then debts owed to others, and that the estate is properly distributed to the heirs. Now, lots of people think that probate applies to you only if you have a will, and this is not so. Your estate will be probated whether you have a will or not. If you have a will, the will will determine how your estate is transferred during probate and to whom. Without a will, the laws in the state where you live specify who gets what part of your estate. Probate is really the map that guides the transfer of your estate according to the rules. And although this procedure varies somewhat from state to state, and it's slightly different from the US and Canada, in general, certain events have to take place. Once again, 2.5 million people over the age 30 die each year. 65% of them own at least one property. Many own multiples. 95% do not have a living trust. If you don't have a living trust and you own anything or owe anything, you are going to probate. 90% of estates with real estate in them will sell within 12 months to pay the estate's debt. Gives you almost 1.4 million potential real estate listings. They'll eventually find their own agent. My goal is to put you in front of them. After being in the business for 19 years, I've discovered that you have to list to last. And every listing should be worth 3 transactions to you if you're doing your job right, right? You know, you should get referrals. You should be canvassing the neighborhood to meet the neighbors of every property that you list. You should be sending out just listed, just sold cards. You have the potential to sell that person another house. You know, it's a wonderful life if you're doing it right. Listings take 75% less time than buyers, at least in my experience and for my team. And you don't have to spend money to attract a buyer client. You know, there we go with the lazy or efficient thing, right? So which would I rather work with? Now that I've shared a little bit about myself and about my personality, who do you think I'd rather work with? A buyer takes 3 times more time, or a seller? Yeah, exactly. Sellers. You really don't have to spend a lot of money to attract buyer clients, because if you have listings, you're going to get buyers. Almost every type of prospecting and advertising that you'll ever try will work to some extent. The challenge is that most aren't sustainable, profitable, or predictable. And today, it seems like there are more companies competing for your money than there are listings. One of my coaching members recently shared with me that she is paying $7,700 a month to Zillow. I almost passed out. So once again, why probate? The leads are easy to obtain because part of probate requires public notification. Part of probate requires public notification. Basically, when I die, it's required to probate my estate. The person that's administering my estate has to run a newspaper ad conspicuously 3 times to let everyone know that if I owe them any money, they need to come forward. So that's why it's easy for us to get the leads. Probate requires legal notice. It's inexpensive. It's free to get the leads. It's inexpensive to market to them because we have the person responsible for liquidating the estate. We're going to have their name, address, in many cases, their phone number. And we can send a letter straight to them. Now, this is far more efficient than advertising on a billboard, you know, which is going to cost you $5,000 a month. And we don't know if your prospect's going to drive by or not. It's far more efficient than farming a neighborhood, because according to NAR, only 6% of people are going to sell this year. So if you're farming a neighborhood of 1,000 people, only 60 are planning on making a move. That means the other 940 letters were a waste. We're only going to send the letters to the 40. So think of how much money you save on your advertising when you only advertise to people who are going to sell. There's very little competition. Why? Well, from my experience, it's that most agents are uncomfortable. They feel like they'll be an ambulance chaser. They feel like they're going to have to talk to people, who are mourning the death of a relative, and that's not so, because in most cases, we're not talking to anyone until 90 to 120 days after the person's death, so the family's had a time to mourn, and we're speaking to the personal representative, and this is the person responsible for carrying out the final wishes of the person who passed away. So we're dealing with someone in most cases who's not a direct family member. Now, thing I like about it is other agents can't copy your marketing. Back when I was doing some more marketing earlier in my career, I'd run a newspaper ad 3 or 4 weeks, somebody'd copy it. I'd get a billboard, a couple months, somebody'd copy it. So agents know who's successful in a marketplace. And if you're closing 100 or 200 transactions a year, others will pick up on it. Even if you're just listing 4 or 5 properties a month, other agents in your office will take notice. They'll start watching you and they'll try to see where you're advertising. The way I advertise, they can't see my advertising unless someone in their family dies, right? So let's talk a little bit about the probate process. Once again, only 5% of people avoid probate because they have a fully vested living will, or they own a living estate, or they have nothing and have no debt. So either you have a trust or you owe nothing and have no debt. Now in some states like Missouri, excuse me, Missouri has a small state exemption. If you're worth less than $40,000 when you die, you don't have to go through the probate process. Well, that person wouldn't be a prospect for us anyways. Or if you have valid living trust. Some real estate will transfer outside of probate if it's titled correctly, right? Joint tenancy with right of survivorship. And some assets like retirement accounts might transfer outside of probate, but there'll still be a probate case. We'll still get notification. We'll still get the name, address, telephone number of the person responsible for selling the real estate, even if the property itself doesn't have to go through the probate process. So it's important for you to know there's 4 ways the estate is brought into the probate court. After someone dies, the family members are going to look to see if they can find a will. And wills are not recorded. Okay, they're not recorded. They have to be found. Typically, you're going to go look in the person's safety deposit box, right? Or in their safe. If they do not have a will, someone has to step forward and petition the court to probate the will, or to probate the estate without a will. If they do have a will, someone in the family has to step forward and petition the court to probate the estate with the will. It's just that simple. You're probably asking, I wonder if this works in my market. Yes. I don't know how many people live in your area, but a percentage of them die every year. I have to think that of the 2.5 million people that die in the United States every year over the age of 30, a percentage of them are going to live in your market area. If some of them own a house, you can get probate listings. A lot of agents ask me if there's a lot of competition. And I've never been one to worry about what other agents are doing, because according to the National Association of Realtors, 87% of them will be gone in 5 years. 99% will be gone in 10 years. So if you follow other agents, there's a 99% probability you'll follow the wrong one. Now, a lot of agents believe that probate attorneys control the listings, and we found that this simply isn't true. This can be a resource for the person responsible for administering the estate. If they don't have an agent in mind, they might ask the attorney, but they might not. The reality is that most agents are just uncomfortable with death and they're afraid to contact someone who's had a relative die. But I'm going to show you how you can do that in a professional manner that shows compassion. The other reason is agents have no idea how to get the leads. Even if I gave them the leads, they probably wouldn't know what to do with them. Now, I discovered this the hard way. I spent the last 10 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent developing the system, both from myself and through my coaching members. So let's get to something good here. Okay, so once again, the easy and efficient way to get listings is to identify the 6% of people that are going to sell and only spend your time, money, and energy marketing to them. It's that simple. Even if you don't change anything with your marketing itself, if you change who you market to, you can explode your results. So let's get right into how to get the probate listings. Number one, you can get these leads for free. I'm going to show you a couple different ways that you can get them. Number two, not all the leads are equal. I'm looking for probate cases that contain real estate. Secret number three, we have tried everything over the last 10 years, and the absolute best way to market to these estates is by direct mail to the personal representative. And some states call the personal representative an executor. Those two terms mean exactly the same thing. But what you mail is important, because the hardest part about direct mail is getting the person to open the letter. And then, of course, if you follow up with a phone call after your letter, it's not a cold call anymore. You've already introduced yourself in the letter, and you will double your success rate. So let's talk about how to get the leads. Now, there's really two different ways. If you have more time than money, you go to the courthouse or get them online for free. I'm going to show you how to do that. If you have more money than time, so you're already extremely successful, you have very little time in your day, you're interested in doing this, but you don't personally want to go down to the courthouse to get the leads. That's the great thing, is you can use leverage. You can send someone, you can hire someone specifically to do this, or you can buy the leads. And I'll show you a company you can buy the leads from. So, because most of us, either we want more money or we want more time. A few of us want more time and money. So if you want to get the leads for free, you can get them for free at the courthouse. You can also get them online from public notice aggregators. These are websites that take all the public notices that appear in the newspapers, publish them on a website, and the way they make money is through their website traffic, right? There's advertising on their website. And it's easier to get people to go view these public notices on a website than it is on a newspaper, because on the newspaper, you got to subscribe to it or pay for it. These websites are free. So once again, you can go to the courthouse and get them yourself. You can get them online yourself. You can send somebody else to the courthouse, or you can buy the leads from a reputable source. And the source that I use actually sends a human to the courthouse to get them. So they're the most accurate. Now, when I first started out, I went to my county probate court. And you can do the same. A quick Google search with the name of your county and the words probate court will give you the address. You'll want to go in person, and you're going to try to find the office of the probate clerk of the court. That's the person. Now, when I first began pursuing probate listings, I was getting my leads from the courthouse. The leads were free. They were accurate as I was. But it took me a considerable amount of time driving to the courthouse. In where I lived, I had to drive downtown in traffic. I had to park and walk, like a mile. I had to pay for parking. Then you have to go through the metal detector. You can't take in your phone. It's just a big pain in the butt, honestly. So I wanted to find a more efficient way to do it. Well, every county we've researched thus far has an online legal publication where court actions are published. And this is far easier than going to the courthouse. And it includes probate, divorce, and conservatorship. We're primarily interested in probate. Some of my students also market to divorce and conservatorship cases. I do not. That's not what this is about, but you'll find those leads as well. So you just do a Google search, and you'll search for your county legal notices. Just so my county here is Pinal County legal notices. My office was in Jackson County, Missouri, so I'd search Jackson County, Missouri legal notices. And most likely You're going to end up here at publicnoticeads.com. And publicnoticeads.com is an aggregator, and they have a nice search function here. You choose your county, you choose your state, choose your county, and then you choose your search terms. So if you were marketing to divorce cases, you don't type divorce, you type in the legal term, which is dissolution of marriage, and hit go. In our case, we would want to search for probate or estate. Sometimes one works better than the other. So probate or estate. You want to put in a search range. Typically, I tell my new students to start out with the last 90 days. In some areas, there's going to be just too many. You know, like this is Maricopa County. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. So you want to narrow it down probably for the last week. So we'll just pick one of these out. And this is an older. The second one, that was the notice of the estate of informal probate of will and appointment of personal representative. Joanne Rose. Joanne Rose is our decedent. Joanne Rose is the person that died. If we read down a little further, I wanted to get the little pin thing here, but I'm having it. Let me get this little pin. Well, it's not letting me use it today. Okay, so if you read down a little further, we'll see that Sharon Schmitz is appointed as the personal representative. We would search the tax records, property tax records in my county to see if the decedent, Joanne Rose, owned real estate. And so I just copy her name, open up another screen, search by her name, our tax records to see if she owned real estate. Lo and behold, she did. And it's this last entrance, Joanne Rose, 6919 East Moreland Street, Scottsdale, Arizona. We see an MLS number because this property was actually listed for sale. So we can click on it and see that it was an owner-occupied residence, gives us the address and the value of the property. If this property wasn't already for sale, this would be an excellent lead for us, an excellent lead for us. But there's a couple important things. Joanne Rose is the decedent, so it's the estate of Joanne Rose is going to be our client, but Sharon Schmidt is the personal representative, so she's our lead. She is our prospect. And so we need to find Sharon's address, and we can do that at the court's website, or if you're at the courthouse, it'll be in the case, or if you buy the lead from someone, they'll include that information, because we're going to market to Sharon. So when Sharon is ready to sell the property, she chooses us. Now, not all these leads are equal. You don't have to work them all. Once again, that one was a bust because the property was already listed, but there are many, many, many of them each and every week. Now, the way we market to them is through direct mail. And we have found that most agents give up after the first mailing. Investors are typically the only competition we really have, like the We Buy Ugly Houses and the Home Investors guys and gals. Those are the people that are mailing. They're mailing the same postcard every time, over and over and over. We'll buy your house, pay cash, close in 7 days. But they're going to want a significant discount. And they'll get some, right? They know that if they blast out to every estate that they're going to get, 1 or 2 a month, and there'll be big home runs. We're looking for the people that want to get the full market value of the property. Now, in the beginning, we tried cold calling all the leads, and it just didn't work. The results were pitiful. I hate cold calling. Absolutely hate it. This isn't even a lazy thing. I just hate doing it. And it didn't work. It didn't work for me. It didn't work for my coaching students. So we tried mailing postcards, because that's what the Home Investors guys were doing. That didn't work either. So we began experimenting with different types of mailers. We were looking for something to position us as more of a professional. Finally, I gave up. I hired a professional direct response copywriter, and I spent lots and lots and lots of money developing a series of 4 letters. The reason I say lots and lots is because it only costs lots to have the letters written, but then it costs, a couple bucks every time you mail one out, and you need to mail out thousands of them to measure the results to see if you have one that works. So we have determined over the last 10 years that what works the best is a series of 4 letters. We get the lead, we enter it into our context records management system, our CRM, and we trigger it to send out a series of 4 letters. 1 letter a month for 4 months. And I'm going to show you and talk to you about the letters. But we also developed a script to use for a warm call a week after the mailing. So we find the lead, we put it in our system, doesn't matter what system you use, your broker probably gives you one for free. We send out the first letter, we wait a week, and we give them a call. And it's real simple. We're just calling and we're asking for the personal representative by name. We're introducing ourselves and say, hey, this is Frank Patrick with Keller Williams. I sent you the letter, just making sure. Did you get a letter from me last week with a pin in it? Oh yeah. Okay, and that gives us a chance to have a conversation. And so we have a script, and after we went to this system, and it's a real soft sell approach, you'll see we lead with service before self-interest. So the first letter and the first call, there's no discussion of selling the property. Why? Well, we know that it takes at least 60, oftentimes 180 days for the personal representative to get approval to sell the house. So why start asking now, right? Why? That's like a little kid asking what we're having for dinner at 12:15. Like, we don't know yet. It's not time yet. I got other things to take care of. And so you come off as a pest, and you come off as someone who's only interested in what they can gain if you approach them about selling the property first. So I want to show you what works. It's a simple letter explaining who we are, what we do, and offering to be available if they have questions. And I include a small gift, a pin. Now, the pin makes a lump in the envelope. So when they go out and get their mail and they're sorting it over the trash can, just like you and I do, whoa, this one's got something in it. They're not going to throw it away. I mean, it's just human curiosity causes them to open the letter. They can't resist. And I'm going to show you the letter, and we'll talk about what it says. But so this is a picture of what the letter looks like. You see a big old lump right in the middle of it. You know that they just can't. I mean, they want to throw it away, but they just can't do it. And this is addressed to the personal representative. Lumpy mail is 90% more likely to be opened. 90% more likely to be opened. You probably experienced this yourself. I mean, how many times do you get credit card offers? They always have a credit card in it. You have to open it because you're not sure if it's the Visa card you already have or if it's somebody trying to give you a new one. Inside is a very simple letter. Now, this, of course, would be on my letterhead. It says, Dear Personal Representative, this would be their name. So, Dear Sharon Schmitz, I'm writing to you because you're listed as the personal representative for the estate of Joanne Rose. I'm an Arizona real estate broker who specializes in listing and selling properties in probate. I was at the courthouse on Tuesday, reviewing all the new probate cases involving real estate, and I came across your filing. From my past experience working with probate personal representatives, I know you might be feeling overwhelmed right about now. You see, I understand that handling real estate is just one small part of all of your duties and responsibilities as the personal representative. But here's some good news. I can make your life much easier, no strings attached. It's invaluable for you to have someone here locally you can call on and trust with questions, concerns, and more. Someone who has reputable contacts with service providers when it comes to servicing probate properties. Someone who knows what to do and when to do it. I know those things. It's what I do, and I want to help you. If you have any questions concerning the real estate involved in the estate, feel free to contact me. Or if you find you need a probate attorney, because in Arizona, you can go file for probate without an attorney. A lot of people do it, and they find out, holy cow, what have I done? Tons of paperwork. So then they'll find one. So I like to offer to refer them to one that I've worked with in the past for a free initial telephone conversation. Looking forward to hearing from you, Frank Patrick. So a couple things here. First of all, I'm acknowledging that I've identified them as the personal representative. I know that they have many duties and responsibilities as the person responsible for liquidating the estate. And I've offered to help them because I'm a local real estate professional and I have contacts with service providers. You see, what we found is about 50% of the time, the person responsible, this personal representative, doesn't live near the property. In many cases, they live across the country. So can you imagine, perhaps you live in Missouri and your Uncle Joe dies. That's bad enough. Now you find out that Uncle Joe named you as the personal representative of his estate. And he's got 2 kids, one in Hawaii, one in Alaska, and the property's in Arizona. You're like, holy crap, what just happened to me? So now you have to fly down here and rekey the house and get the valuables out of it, so that somebody doesn't steal it. And what do you do about the water? Do you need to leave the water on? Do you turn the water off? If somebody need to clean out the gutters? Oh my God, there's cactuses in the yard. I got grass back in Missouri. I don't know what to do with cactuses. They need somebody local that can help them. So I can help them. I can go over and get the property rekeyed for them and have the bill sent to them, because I know a locksmith. I can get a lockbox put on it. So if they need a plumber to come in and check out the plumbing, I can put a combo lockbox on the back door for them. I can take some pictures of the property and send it to them and let them know what needs to be done. There's lots of things I can do. I can be their person on the ground here. And this does several things. So first of all, this has done, this letter has established me as authority. I stood up and I said, hey, I specialize in listing and selling properties in probate. I was down at the courthouse. I found you. I speak the language. I'm speaking language that a probate expert would speak. And I'm telling them I can help them. So I'm right off the bat, I'm offering help. That's building rapport. That's building rapport. And it instills a little bit of reciprocity in their mind. So when someone does you a favor or gives you a gift, you have this little feeling in the back of your mind that you owe them something. And you're not sure, it's not like, oh, I owe him $1, he gave me a pin. It's you just feel that you need to listen to them and you need to give them a chance because they helped you. And that's what this letter is all about. We want to establish authority, build rapport, instill the feeling of reciprocity. So when it's time to sell the real estate, I'm the logical solution. There's a PS, probably wondering why I included a pin with this letter. Well, it's not just an ordinary pin, right? Because ordinary pins are worth $1. It's a blue pin. And this blue pin will save you time and frustration as you carry out your duties as the personal representative. A long time ago, an attorney I work with gave me one just like it and taught me a valuable time-saving lesson. If you always sign important legal documents with blue ink, it will make it easier for you to distinguish between the originals, which will need to be recorded, and copies, which will need to be retained for your files and disseminated to heirs. So the pin is more than just, hey, here's $1. The pin also has my name on it and the words probate specialist, my telephone number. But the pin represents an idea that I can help them avoid making mistakes. I've just put that in their brain. This guy can help me avoid making mistakes because it would suck if I mailed an original to one of the heirs in Alaska and then I go down to the courthouse in Maricopa County, and now I don't have the original. I've got a copy, and that's not acceptable. So now I got to, and then now I look bad. I've screwed it up. Now I look bad. I postponed it, and now the heirs aren't going to get their money, as quickly as they wanted. So once again, it's all about establishing authority, building rapport, instilling reciprocity. So when it's time to sell the real estate, you're the logical solution. Nowhere on here does it says I want to sell your house or I want to buy your house or any of the other crap they might be getting from other agents or investors. We're leading from the position of service before self-interest. The second letter, which goes out 30 days later, informs them that I can refer them to a competent lawn care company, locksmith, handyman. Perhaps they need an estate sale, probate attorney, clean out crew, painter, anything that they need in regards to this property. I'm their man or their gal. phone call 7 days later. Hey, it's Frank. Just want to make sure you got my letter. Do you need anything? Maybe you need somebody to rekey it. If you're thinking about having an estate sale, maybe you've already gone and got all the valuables out. And you just want somebody to come in and remove what's left and donate it to a local charity. We can handle that for you. And so we're just offering assistance, still not saying, hey, do you want to sell the property? 30 days later, letter number 3, it informs them that I can help them if they'd like to sell the property quickly as is to an all cash buyer, or I can help them get full market value. So this is, I'm trying to make sure that they're not going to go the Homevestors, Open Door, Purple Bricks, Homey, whatever any of those other Zillows want to buy their house now. The letter is written to let them know if you want an all cash deal with no repairs, I can do that for you too, and I'll get you more money because I'm not going to just take Homevestors' offer. I'm going to put it on the MLS and expose it to the entire buyer pool, and you'll get probably multiple offers, which will drive the price up. The heirs get more money. You look like a hero. Then I make a phone call after the 3rd letter, explain how all that would work if they're interested. And then the 4th letter, 30 days later, is about the time they should have court's approval to sell the property. And I offer them a free broker price opinion, or CMA, I don't know what you call it, to help them determine the value of the property. I'm going to tell them what it's worth in its as-is condition. So I can tell you most likely what you'd get from an investor. If we make a few minor repairs, I can show you what we would get from a buyer that's willing to put in a little bit of sweat equity and fix it up a little bit. And if the family's willing to invest some money, or the estate has enough money, maybe we give it a little quick a paint job on the outside, do some landscaping, replace all the carpet. Let me show you what the maximum property value is for the property. And so then I make a phone call, and I try to close for the listing appointment. At that point in time, I'll tell you that about 50% of the time that listing appointment is online, so I don't get to meet with them in person. You can do a little Skype or whatever technology you use, or just a phone call. Or you can, if they're local, oftentimes I'll coordinate this when they have the estate sale, or if they fly in for it, I'll meet them there at the property. Occasionally, it'll be the personal representative and the heirs, and that's a good thing. I want to work with the heirs if at all possible. So it's a pretty simple system. We call after every letter, and these are warm calls, but we can only get the telephone numbers for about 50% of them. If we have the number we call, we're just calling to see if they got the letter, if they have any questions, if there's anything I can do to help them, right? Call 3 is to ask if they'd prefer to sell quickly as is to an all-cash buyer, or to list it on the open market and get full market value. It gives me an idea on which direction they're going to go. Call 4, I'm closing for a CMA or BPO, which is really a listing appointment. Now, the system is efficient and it's simple. We gather the leads, whether you go to the courthouse and get them, you send somebody else to the courthouse to get them, you get them online for free, you have your assistant get them online for free, or you're super efficient like me and you just buy them from a reputable company. And I think typically I see them costing about $4 a lead. Then I'm going to enter the leads into my CRM, whatever contact records management system you're using, whether it's Top Producer, Lion Desk, Boomtown, there's about 1 billion of them, Conversion, whatever you're using, you'll enter it in your CRM, and the CRM will trigger you to mail the letters. Letter 1, right when you put the lead in, letter 2, 30 days, letter 3, 60 days, letter 4, 90 days, and it'll also trigger you to make the phone call. So you get the lead, put it in your CRM, mail the letter, make the call. Now, the company that I buy the leads from includes a free CRM, so you don't have to download anything. They give you a cloud-based CRM so you can log in, and there's your leads. You can mail them yourself, or you can just push a button and they have my direct mail pieces saved in their system. They'll actually print them and mail them on your behalf. So all you have to do is make the call. And if you are especially efficient like me, they will also make the call for you for a fee, of course. And then you're only, all you have to do is show up for the picture with the fish, right? I mean, they basically do it all for you. So that's the system. It's simple versus easy. You know, you need a decent understanding of the probate process in your state. You could read one book on how to probate an estate in your state. Like, there's a great book, I've got it. It's How to Probate an Estate in Arizona. You read that book, it's written by an attorney. You'll know more than any personal representative ever. Keep in mind, most people will only do this one time in their life, and they are not prepared for it. You need some type of contact records management system. Even you know, a simple one like Realty Juggler is like $100 a year. Most likely your brokerage provides it for free. If you buy the leads from the company I buy the leads from, they provide it. You need to be consistent, right? There's no point mailing out letter number 1 if you're not going to mail out all 4 of them, because they're all building blocks. You need all 4 letters because you need to establish authority, build rapport, instill reciprocity. So when it's time to sell the property, you're the person they think of. You need to be consistent. We close 6% of these leads, so 6% of them should turn into listings. You can't just mail to 6 people, expect to get a listing, right? You always need to remember to come from a position of service before self-interest. This is part of the compassion, right? You don't call somebody up and say, sorry, your grandma died. Do you want to sell the house? I got buyers. That is not me. That's not the kind of people I like to work with. That's something I have an extreme distaste for that. Service before self-interest. 6% of probate leads should turn into listings if you're using my system or a system that's just as good. 6% conversion is our goal. Most cases, most of my students get the leads themselves. They mail the letters, all 4 letters. Once you figure out what it costs you to buy the envelope, the pen, the paper, the ink to print it on, the stamp, and you mail it away, you'll spend about $18 total marketing to each prospect. So if you decide to send out 100 sets of these 4 letters, you find 100 probate prospects over the next 30 days. You mail them all 4 letters over the next 3 months. You've spent $1,800. We would expect that 6 of those would turn into listings for you at an average sales price of, let's say, $200,000, and that's real low. I've got a buyer right now for a $200,000 house in Mesa, if anybody's out there listening. Real hard to find. But let's just say you're in an area of lower prices, $200,000, that would be a $6,000 commission on one property. On 6 properties, you're looking at $36,000 in commissions on a spend of $1,800 in marketing. That's a 20-to-1 return. Envision yourself handing me $1 and then I hand you a 20. You hand me $1, I hand you a 20. How many times do you want to do this, right? So every $1 you put in, you get $20 out. Over the last hour, would you agree it's been time well spent? You should have a good understanding of how we get probate leads, market to them to compel them to list with us. Now, obviously, I can't cover everything you need to know in an hour, but I'm going to make you a special offer so you can get everything delivered to you over a little bit slower time to help you get started. And if you act fast, I'm going to give you a special deal. Until just recently, I'd only shared this information with my private coaching clients, but I've decided to offer a small group webinar training for agents interested in learning my complete probate listing system. So if you'd like to copy my system, I'll be holding an in-depth training for a small group of people. The training is 2 webinars. They're both an hour long. Both sessions will be recorded. So if you miss one, you get the recording the same day. You also get all of my direct mail pieces. So you get them sent to you as a Word doc so you can edit them, just, erase Frank and put in your name, erase my address, put in yours, and you can implement the system. I'm going to take you by the hand and help you copy my proven system for listing probate properties. Now, I got to limit the class to 47 participants because my goal is to spend the time necessary to get your probate listing business up and running in 2 weeks and have you pounding signs in the ground in the next 90 days. So here's what what everything includes. 2 live webinars, all 4 of my direct mail pieces, access to my private Facebook group, which is just for my students, so you can interact with me, any questions you have, interact with other students who are currently, in different stages of this process. Some have been doing it for, a year, some of them have been doing it for a month, and a list of all my resources. So where I buy the leads, where I buy the envelopes, where I buy the pins, what size envelope do I send? It's everything you need to know, so you can just copy what I'm doing in my market area and reproduce it in your market area. Now, the fee to get started is a one-time payment of $197. You can only sign up here today at listprobates.com, and we're going to put a link in the chat box on the right-hand side. Listprobates.com, $197 gets you the 2 webinar trainings with me, all of my direct mail pieces, instructions on how to implement it in your market, a list of all of my resources, and lifetime access and support through the private Facebook group. So you may be asking, will this work for me? All I can tell you is who it's worked for in the past. I've had some experienced agents, and they're already successful, but they wanted to be more consistent. They wanted to know, hey, if I send out 100 letters, I'm going to get six listings, so they can kind of forecast their business. I've had experienced agents who are starting over, like myself. You sell your real estate office where you've been for 14 years and move 1,500 miles away. Now what do I do? It's a great way to start over. I've had some team leaders be very successful because they needed to generate a high number of qualified leads, so they could use leverage. They could buy the leads, pay somebody else to mail the letters, pay somebody else to make the phone calls, and set up appointments for their team members to just go out and list houses. And I've had a few new agents with very little experience come through the training and be successful. And I can't show you how to write up a listing agreement, but I can show you everything that you need to do to get in front of that person. And hopefully your broker can help you with that listing agreement. So if all this did was get you 1 new listing a month, what would it be worth for you? What if you could cut your advertising expenses, because now you're advertising directly to the 6% of the people that are going to make a real estate transaction in the next 12 months instead of the 94% that are not? Or added consistency to your real estate business, so you could forecast how many listings you're going to have next month. It really boils down to, what's a new listing worth to you? I wish I could get a listing here for $200,000, but for me, that's worth $6,000. You can see why my private coaching clients pay me $997 a month. But if you were to only work 20 new leads a month, you generate 14 additional listings a year, and at a $200,000 sales price, that would add up to $84,000 in gross commission. So 20 new leads a month. That's 5 a week. You mail them the letter, you make the follow-up call. 20 new leads a month, $84,000 a year in gross commission income. So once again, 2 live webinars, all my direct mail pieces, access to the private Facebook group, a list of all the resources, $197. We're going to start next Thursday and then the Thursday after. So it's 2 weeks in a row. Now I have a special bonus, because you're friends of Josh. If you order today and reserve your spot, and send me an email, because you'll get my email address with your receipt. Just reply to the email. If you want to get started now, say, Frank, I don't want to wait. I want to get started now. And I'll send you a link so you can watch the recording of my last training session. I did it in February, so it's fresh. So you can go ahead and get started. You can watch both webinars, tomorrow, and be mailing out letters before the rest of the class, even participate. So I'll give you access to the previous recordings and everything right now. And then if you still want to join the live webinar next week and the week after, you're more than welcome to. Here's what I ask in return. Take action. Please, if you're not gonna do this, don't order. Of course, I have a 100% money back guarantee 6 months out. So 5 months from now, you're like, hey, I never did anything with this. I want my money back. Great. Send me an email. I don't want to keep your money if you don't want to use what I have taught you to make more money. Make a commitment to stick with the program for 90 days. It's at least 90 days before you see any results. And please, please, please replicate before you innovate. I have mailed hundreds of thousands of letters to get these right. If you change anything in the recipe, you might not get the Colonel's original recipe, right? You might not get Kentucky Fried Chicken. You don't change the recipe. Wait until you're getting 6% return. So you send out 100 letters, you get 6 listings. Now you got it. Now feel free to experiment. But in the beginning, do it exactly the way I'm doing it so you can get the results that I'm getting. So once again, listprobates.com. And I'm going to share with you, I just got this yesterday. This was posted in our private Facebook group for our students. This is from Reginald. He said he scheduled my first listing appointment. I sent out my first mailers during the first week of January 2019. This client just received her 3rd letter and called. So I'm waiting to hear from Reginald that he's listed this property. I mean, obviously he's still got to go on a listing appointment, but he's been with me since January, and he only had to send 3 letters to this lady. Now he'll go ahead and send all 4. I'm not trying to encourage anybody to stop, but you plan on spending all 4. This is one of my students. She implemented the program in September. She followed the steps closely. Today she had her first call from a seller. That was in December, so about 3 months for her. She has another one that she's meeting with. This guy recently finished a seminar. Found the leads, 10 leads, the first 15 entries took him 3 minutes. Double checked the names. So he's just let me know that it worked. He was able to find the leads in his area. A lot of people are worried about that. Will I be able to find the leads in my area? The answer is yes. It might take you a couple of tries on Google. I'll be there to help you. You can get my assistance. This guy just got off the call with us from the first letter, meeting with the personal rep on Monday. This was from January. So he sent out 1 letter, got a meeting right away. Talk about timing, right? That's good timing. That's not going to happen for everybody. So go to listprobates.com. There's a real short order form, name, address, telephone number. And then at the bottom, if you choose the yellow button that says PayPal, you can pay with PayPal, or choose the green button and you can pay with Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, I don't know what else, whatever credit cards they take these days. And then you'll go to this page, and this page will show you the dates of the actual training. Once again, next Thursday is the first training. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain, 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon Eastern. The next training will be the following Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. Central, 12 noon Eastern. Both of them will be recorded. So if you miss or come in late, within 4 hours of the live event, you'll get access to the recording. As soon as you hit register, that's it, you're done. You don't have to do anything else unless you want to get started today. So if you want to get started today, you'll send an email. There's my email address right there. You'll send an email to me. It'll be on your receipt and on your registration document, and say, Frank, I want to get started now, and I will send you access to the previous session we just wrapped up. Once again, $197, one-time payment, no other charges ever. Everything you need to copy my successful probate listing system. It's your choice whether you want more time or more money and more time. This is a system that works if you work, for sure. And once again, 100% money back guarantee. You don't have to give me an excuse or anything. You just send an email and I push a button and the money goes back in your account. Doesn't get any better than that.
Awesome. This is great. I love it.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah, we have some great questions.
Awesome.
But a couple of things before we dive into them. One, you might not be a professional speaker, but I did like the subtle comedic overtures at the beginning. The picture. I also was one that I label myself productively lazy. Efficient is probably a little bit better way of describing it, but we got some great comments about that. So again, listprobates.com. You can get signed up there. Great stuff by Frank, and you know, we got some great feedback. Like where was it here? There's a time well spent today from Amy.
Awesome.
All right, let's dig into some questions. There was some comments about your biggest struggles. Let's see here. What was the exact website address, the aggregation site, the spot where folks, yeah,
Public notice ads.
public notice ads. Public
Yep.
notice ads. Very good. How do you find the representative if one is in Florida and one is in Alaska when the house is in, say, Massachusetts? Wow, we are really getting geographically
Yeah,
diverse there.
and it's pretty simple. Once you dig into it, it will spell out in the case exactly who the personal representative is, and it'll give you the case number. So with the name of the decedent, the name of the personal representative, and the case number, you can go online and look up the case at the court's website and get the address of the personal representative, because that's the person handling all the correspondence for the decedent. They're paying their taxes, they're paying their bills, they're wrapping up all of their affairs, basically.
Yeah. Aren't the heirs and the executor typically the same? I know it is with my family.
It can be. It can be. So, for instance, myself, my daughter is probably more responsible than my son, but I think I'll probably make my sister my personal representative, because she's not, I don't want the kids fighting over,
Right.
who got dad's favorite lazy chair or something, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to appoint somebody that's a little bit further removed from the situation, just so it goes a little smoother and there's no fighting amongst the kids. Just because I know my two kids, and I see this a lot. It's oftentimes a brother or a cousin or an uncle. In some cases, it can be a spouse, but oftentimes, you don't want to lay that burden on them too, right? If I pass away, my wife's dealing with all of that. Do I want her to really have to deal with the business aspect of it as well?
Right. Yeah. Who do you use for your CRM, Amy? And that might have been at one point you mentioned how the lead provider that you recommend, they give you a CRM as well.
Yeah, and that's just, once again, that's all about being efficient,
Yeah.
because if you have a CRM that your team is using now, you don't want to disrupt that. So you just load those leads into your existing system. If you don't have anything that you're using now, you can buy a new one, or you can just use a free one that they give you at your brokerage. Or if you're buying leads from the same company that I buy leads from, they just give you one for free, and then it's easy. You don't even have to download the leads. You just log in and they're there. Boom.
Yep. How does this work in Canada? Or I guess first, does this work, and then how is it different, if at all?
It does. So the legal process is just slightly different, right? It's just a tiny bit different. And so you go to the you don't have a state, you get a province, right? Some of the vernacular is just slightly different, but you just find out what the probate court is for your province, and you'll go there. I don't know, my lead provider that I buy leads from doesn't sell leads for Canada. So for sure, you'll either go get the leads yourself, pay somebody to go get them for you, or perhaps, I'm sure with as many people as there are in Canada, somebody there is selling leads. I'm just not familiar. There'll be a few additional hurdles if you're in Canada.
Yep. Yep. But that makes it even potentially more of an opportunity.
Yes.
That will discourage your competition.
Yeah. And I want to say something about that. I'm glad you brought that up, Josh, because Colorado, if you're on the call and you're from Colorado, Colorado is the most difficult state to get the leads in. You actually have to go to the courthouse and you got to pay them like $3 to look at the file. And so I've had some students disappointed that they made it a pain in the butt to do it. So you can either buy the leads from my source, or you can go to the courthouse and get them. Either way, you're going to pay for them. And I said, well, you can look at it like this. That's going to stop 99% of real estate agents. That's going to stop them. In Florida, it's very easy. You just go on the probate court's website. You don't even need to look for an aggregator, and you can download everything, including the personal representative's email address. That means more competition. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. The easier it is to get the leads, the more people there are doing it. The harder it is to get the leads, the fewer people there are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, if you can reframe problems as opportunities, you are going to have you're going to lead a much more successful life. I was late attending because of an appointment. Is this presentation being recorded? Will we get a copy of it? So I'm going to do my best. We are trying to record it. It looks like it's working. I'm going to do my best to get the replay out tonight, or worst case scenario tomorrow morning, to everyone who attended. So we'll definitely get that out as soon as we can. Doug asks, are the letters 2 through 4 just standard business letters mailed in an envelope?
Yes, the envelopes, every one of them. Well, so letter 1 comes with a pin. Letter 2 has a gift. It's a small magnet shaped like a house with your information on it that sticks on the refrigerator, and there's a document that helps guide them through the probate process. So now they have, I don't give people magnets unless I give them something I want them to, I want them to stick my thing on their refrigerator. So I give them the magnet and the thing that's going to help guide them through the probate process. That comes with the letter. So letter 2 is a regular envelope. It has the letter. It has the document, the probate guide, and it has the magnet to stick it to the refrigerator. So I do everything but go there and stick it on the fridge for them, right? Then the next letter number 3, same thing, different document they need to stick on their refrigerator. Letter 4 includes a fold over money card. So it looks like somebody folded over a $100 bill, and you open it up and it's a certificate for a free CMA $100 value, right? Because that's the point. Letter number 4, we're at the point where they've got approval, or they're about to get approval to sell the house. We want to close for the evaluation of the property. And that, once again, one of the reasons to put something in an envelope is to get them to open it. The other reason is so they have something left behind with your name on it after they read the letter and throw it away.
Yeah. Some shout outs here on those that have already taken action. Paul Dethridge, Catherine Childers, Daniel Snook, Agrippina Medina Vice Rep. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. Melissa Homewood, Yolanda Creasy, Vita Holscher, Charles Doss, Jim Collins, Susan Phillips, Arcana Aliar. I think probably messing that one up too. But congrats to all of you. And if you would like to secure your spot, go to listprobates.com. Listprobates.com. Someone said, I missed the part about where the leads come from. Who provides the lead info? Is it online? And there are several places you can get it.
Yeah, either you go to the courthouse and get them yourself, you get them online for free, or you get them online and you pay for them. It just depends on your time to money ratio. Do you have more time than money or more money than time?
Yeah. This training does not include the leads. He couldn't possibly
Correct.
do that.
Correct.
It's a ludicrously low price. I mean, honestly, it's if you when Frank did, if you work 20 leads for a year and you look at that and what that could turn into GCI just based on average sales commission, I mean, it's laughable what he's charging for this. So, you all are crazy for not taking advantage of him if you haven't already done so.
Someone in your market area will get these listings, right? Because these properties are going to be sold to settle the estate. Someone will eventually get the listing. My goal is to put you in front of everyone else so you find out about it before anyone else, and you have a chance to position yourself so they don't search out another agent. They don't ask the attorney for a referral. They don't go on Google and look for someone else. You're already right there in their hand.
Yeah. All right. So a few people asking what your email is. I think it was on one of the slides, maybe.
Yeah, they'll get as soon as they hit enter and register, they'll immediately get a automated reply from me, and then they'll get so that's going to have, then they'll be redirected to register for the webinar. That'll have my email address on it. And then tomorrow, they'll also get an email from me that has my email address on it. And at that point, if they want to get started right away, all they got to do is fire off a quick email to me and say, hey, Frank, I want to get started right now. And I'll send them the link to watch the webinars that I recorded a couple weeks ago.
One or two people having a problem with the URL. Remember, it's in the chat, and the problem that I saw that came in, it's list probates, plural. List probate, plural. If you go to list probate, you're going to get like a GoDaddy thing. List probates, plural, and there also is a link in the chat as well. Frank, the pricing on the leads, do you know how that works?
Well, it depends on the volume of leads. So in some areas, it's really low volume. Where my mom lives in Lafayette County, it's like 100 leads a month, and I think that's like $300. In areas where there's thousands of leads, you don't have to buy all of them, but the cost comes down.
Yeah.
So if you're buying 200 leads a month, the cost might be $3 a lead instead of $4 or $2 a lead. It's not astronomical. It's nothing like, I'm serious. I have a coaching member paying $7,700 a month to Zillow. Nobody's paying $7,700 for probate leads.
I mean, that is like a punch in the face.
Yeah. Problem is, you got hooked on them, right? When she started out, it was like $500 a month, and now 3 years later, it's $7,700 a month, and she's got this team, and so she's implementing probate to try to wean herself off of this Zillow monster.
Yeah. Agrippina, who already enrolled, good on you, says, I really need help. Would this work in New Jersey? No doubt.
Yes, no doubt.
No doubt. Does Frank use email at all to the executor or attorneys?
Not at this point. And the students that I have that have had success with attorneys, you want to, first of all, going to attorneys first is like throwing you in the Shark Tank.
Oof,
right? Yeah. They're going to eat you alive. So you want to get a couple of these transactions under your belt. You want to have a list of your service providers with you, and a really kind of a polished presentation. And then you go in their office with food, introduce yourself, and say, I can help your clients. I can make things easier for them. Have a box of donuts.
Yeah.
It's just that. I mean, I'm not going to charge you any money for that. The other thing you can do that works really well, and this is the $1 million idea here, is you send out an email and a letter to all of your past clients saying, I helped you purchase your home, probably the largest asset that you have, but I didn't help insure it, to make sure that it will pass on to your loved ones in the event that something happens to you. If you're interested in estate planning, I'd be happy to pass your name to my attorney for a free initial consultation so you can make sure that your assets are protected. And so then you get a name of 10 people that want estate planning, and now you walk into the attorney's office with donuts and a list of 12 people that want to get a will or an estate plan done.
For the record, because some of you I think are asking and a little confused, that is like in addition. The core strategy here is mailing directly.
Yeah. Mailing directly to the personal representatives.
And building that rapport, building a feeling of reciprocity, leading with value, and then it just becoming a natural conclusion on their part to do business with you because you've delivered value to them in advance of any expectation.
Exactly.
Margie came in late. Do you provide the letters to mail? Yes. You get everything exactly, the proven step-by-step process, the actual letters that have been tested, and are proven to work here. Here's another great thing. In case this wasn't obvious. So, for example, one way to get sellers in your market is to offer a free home valuation, right? Well, in most markets, that is extremely overdone. And has become tired and old because people see it over and over and over and over and over. These letters, the person that's receiving them is likely only going to ever get them once. And so there's no chance of it becoming old, tired, outdated, any of that. It's evergreen, which is, I mean, it's just beautiful, beautiful. Does the lead give you everything you need to know. I'm not sure if you mean the actual, maybe the lead company,
Yeah,
Diane,
yeah,
maybe is what she means.
yes. And in fact, the lead company that I use is also comparing the information against the do not call list.
Oh,
And
okay.
we have a legal opinion that we're really protected on these anyways. Now that's a legal opinion that I got, and my lead source did as well. But because these people are the personal public representative of the estate, so they have publicly advertised that they are representing the estate. So
Mhm.
they're not protected under the do not call list. But in the event that you want to be extra sensitive to that, if you buy the leads from the company that I get the leads from, they'll tell you right on the lead if it's if they have DNC, it's on the do not call list. But they many times provide multiple phone numbers. So what you'll see is someone has a home phone, it's on the do not call list, but they have a cell phone that's not on the do not call list.
Yeah.
So you might as well call them on the one that's not on the do not call list.
Diane, Frank had already mentioned this. The lead cost, it varies by area and
Yeah.
volume and so forth.
Yeah.
Some more shout outs here. Eve Rose, Marty Gum, Mark States, Krista Ish or Esh, and Brooke Rhodes. Kudos and congrats
Awesome.
on taking action. Let's see here. Somebody's listening in from the UK. Any experience with
Awesome.
that?
I don't know how it would work there, but I'd be happy to work with you to. I mean, we're going to have to change the recipe, right? I know the theory will work. We would have to change the recipe a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that person has my permission and consent to change the letters slightly because, we don't speak the same English language, right?
Right. Right. Yep. Exactly. Louise is in Montreal. She's going to do some legwork there and try and figure out how that will work in her area. Let's see here. For my county in the past month, the search on public notice only came up with 3. Is that common? That
Uh,
must be a really rural area.
so perhaps, but most likely not. Some of the counties we found are slow to update, or
Mm,
they update every month on a certain date, so all the leads come on one day.
yeah.
Particularly an issue with the bigger counties and some of the smaller ones. Some of them are not as technology savvy as others, but you can always expand to cover more than one county.
Yeah. All right, we are going to take maybe 1 or 2 more questions, and then if you have yet unanswered questions, we'll give you a way to get those answered as well. And if you haven't already done so, go to listprobates.com and lock in your spot. Let's see here.
Josh, I want to say that in the event that it sounds like we're going to hit 47.
Yeah.
I like to keep the class size small. So in the event we go over 47, I'll split the group.
Gotcha.
And so I won't shut it down completely, but I'll split the group and there'll be an alternate time. So they'll be able to choose an alternate time to take it.
Yeah. Since we were going down that path, let me, hopefully I can summarize this well for everybody. Number one, part of the special offer today is if you email Frank, he'll give you access to the past training. Like, you don't have to wait to get started if you're anxious. He will give you a way to get started and take action and get the ball rolling. You're getting 2 live classes and all of the marketing materials, the entire process. You can literally plug and play. And Frank, what was the money back guarantee?
6 months.
6 months. I asked that because I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I
No
thought
excuse.
I heard you correctly both times, but I wanted
and it's better if I don't even get an excuse, right? Because if they give me an excuse,
right,
I want
to. Yep.
It doesn't work. Well, I know it works, right? So if like some people just they get caught up in the moment, they buy something, and then they're like, I'm not going to do anything with this. I don't want to keep anybody's money. I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm going to do it for another 10. My reputation is worth more than $197.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
I want their money if they're happy and they're making money.
Yep. So with that, here's what I want to do. We're going to kind of come in for a landing because we're at 90 minutes now, and I want to respect everybody's time, especially yours, Frank. If you still have unanswered questions feel free to reply to the email that led you to today's call. That'll go to me or someone on our team. And if we don't know the answer on our side, we'll make sure we get the answer for you from Frank. A number of you have already enrolled, and quite honestly, the notifications we get of enrollment are significantly delayed. So I know that number is climbing. And because Frank wants to take care of you all, if we go over that 47 number, he's going to split it up so that everyone can get the personal attention to make sure that they've got everything they need. They get all of their questions answered, etc. If you haven't already done so, go to listprobates.com. Listprobates.com. This has literally been one of the best webinars that I have been in attendance in a while because here's the reality. At this point, you have a choice. Frank told you and gave you everything to do. You can try to figure it out on your own, or invest what is a paltry sum, and he'll just give you the keys to the kingdom as far as this goes. So, Frank, once again, thank you so much for your time and your expertise.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Thank you very much. And
Right
I'm looking forward to all of you that have registered. I'm looking forward to working with you and helping you implement this in your market area. I want you pounding signs in the ground in the next 90 days.
Right on. Thanks, Frank. Thank you all for attending. We'll get the replay out later tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. Lock your spot in, listprobates.com. Listprobates.com. And we'll talk again real soon.